I never imagined that the person I called my sister would be capable of such cruelty. My life had always been modest, humble, and simple, but I believed in the bond we shared. Lin Mei and I, inseparable, daughters of the same household, or so I thought. That morning, I sat in the cold, sterile office of the Lin family estate, nervously clutching the documents that could finally prove the truth. DNA tests that revealed I was the rightful heiress. The envelope was thick, official, and it shook slightly in my hands. My heart thumped. After years of hardship, humiliation, and being pushed into the shadows, I was about to reclaim what was mine. I hadn't anticipated the storm that would follow. Lin Mei, my supposed sister, arrived minutes later. Her expression was sweet, delicate, almost angelic, yet her eyes betrayed a sharp cruelty. "Oh, Ran," she said softly, almost tenderly, stepping closer. "I heard you were going to open the results today. How exciting for you." I swallowed hard. "May, it's the truth. I'm your sister, yes, but the real daughter of the Lin family. The DNA." My voice trembled as I tried to speak. She laughed lightly, the sound like porcelain shattering. "The DNA? Sweetheart, you've always been so naive. Did you really think the Lin family would let a girl like you claim what's theirs?" A cold shiver ran down my spine. Something was wrong. I could feel it. Then, the man appeared, the one I thought I could trust. My husband, as the Lin family had coerced me into a sham marriage to protect their reputation. But the warmth in his eyes, the comfort I once felt, it was all a lie. He stepped toward me, his face calm, expression carefully neutral. "Rand, maybe you should calm down," he said, voice low, almost soothing. "This isn't worth the trouble." Before I could respond, I felt a shove from behind. The world tilted. I fell backward, my arms flailing, and then ice. The frozen lake beneath me swallowed me whole. I gasped as the cold water encased me, numbing me instantly, dragging me under the surface. Panic clawed at my chest. "Help, someone help me," I screamed, but the air above was a distant memory, slipping away. The last thing I saw before darkness took me was Lin Mei's smile, cold, triumphant, the face of the sister I had trusted most in my life. I woke up gasping, drenched and trembling, as the icy water of that lake burned against my skin. I had survived, barely. But more than that, I felt something deeper stirring inside me, a spark of rage, a thirst for justice, and the knowledge that I would never be betrayed again. It was more than survival. It was the beginning of my reclamation. This time, I whispered to myself, wrapping my arms around my shivering body. "I will take back everything. My name, my family, my life, and I will make sure Lin Mei can never hurt anyone else again." And as I stared at the sky through the thin veil of frost, I made a vow. The Lin family would finally recognize the true heiress. And the girl who stole my life? She would pay. The morning sunlight streamed through the pale curtains, but it felt different this time. Familiar, yet impossibly new. My body stirred, and when I opened my eyes, the world looked smaller. Younger. I blinked, disoriented, and for a split second, panic surged. Had I died? Then it hit me. The memory of the frozen lake, Lin Mei's cruel smile, the betrayal of the man I thought I could trust. Everything came rushing back in a flood of fury and clarity. But I wasn't in that moment anymore. I was back. Back on the day of the DNA test that had failed in my past life. A shiver ran down my spine. I sat up, trembling with disbelief, then clenched my fists. No, this isn't a dream. This is a second chance. My heart pounded with adrenaline. I had been given a do-over, a chance to reclaim my life before Lin Mei could steal it completely. I dressed quickly, my movements precise as I forced my mind to focus. Every detail from my previous life, the schemes, the lies, the betrayal, they were all fresh, burned into my memory. This time, I wouldn't be naive. This time, I wouldn't let her manipulate fate. Walking into the Lin family estate felt different. I felt a strange combination of fear and power. I knew the truth now. I was the real heiress, and Lin May's luxury, her smugness, her life of opulence built on lies, it would all crumble, and I would make sure of it. Lin ran, a voice called. I turned to see my supposed fiancé, Han Xiao, standing by the elegant marble staircase. Even in that moment, his presence commanded attention. Tall, impeccably dressed, with an intensity in his eyes that made it impossible to look away. Yes, I replied cautiously, forcing a polite smile. I remembered him from my reborn life, the boy I had met as a child, the one destined to marry the true Lin heiress. And now I understood. Han Xiao wasn't just a stranger. He could be my ally, my shield, perhaps even the man who could see through Lin May's lies. He stepped closer, voice quiet, deliberate. I hear the DNA test results are today. Are you nervous? I laughed softly, but it was tinged with irony. Nervous?
No.
I've seen the outcome before, in a way. This time I'm ready. Han Xiao raised an eyebrow, intrigued. You sound certain. Most people would tremble at a day like this. But you seemed prepared for war. I felt a surge of determination. War is exactly what this is. Lin May has built her life on lies, and today, she will see that her kingdom is built on sand. The door opened, and a Lin family assistant appeared with a sealed envelope containing the DNA test results. My pulse quickened. I held my breath as I took it in my hands, feeling the weight of my destiny in my fingertips. Han Zhao's eyes didn't leave mine. I hope you know if anything seems off, I'll notice. You won't be alone in this. I nodded, feeling a flicker of trust, but also a growing sense of strategy. I had survived death once. I would survive Lin May's deceit again. I know. And I'll need every advantage I can get. Opening the envelope, I didn't flinch. I didn't hesitate. The truth was clear. My DNA, my rightful place as the Lin heiress, undeniable and irrefutable. Lin May's plans, all her schemes to claim what was never hers, were about to unravel. Han Xiao stepped closer, his gaze intense. Good. I suspected she might be hiding something. But with this, the truth is finally on your side. I swallowed, feeling the fire ignite within me. Then it begins. Today, I reclaim my name, my family, my life, and she will pay for every lie she ever told. As Han Xiao offered a subtle nod of approval, I realized something important. This was more than revenge. This was justice. And with him by my side, perhaps it could even become something more. The moment the DNA results confirmed the truth, I knew that waiting and watching wouldn't be enough. Lin May had grown bold, believing the Lin family fortune and the title of heiress was hers to claim. She thrived on arrogance and deception, and only decisive action would unmask her. I spent the morning crafting my plan, revisiting every detail of my past life. The knowledge I now carried was my weapon. I knew who she trusted, who she manipulated, and most importantly, where she was vulnerable. Han Xiao appeared as if on cue, his presence a steadying force. You're moving fast, he remarked, voice low but edged with approval. Good. She's not going to wait for you to stumble. Timing is crucial. I nodded, feeling the familiar rush of determination. I've learned from before. Hesitation will cost me too much. Han Xiao studied me, his gaze sharp and calculating. Then we start small. Test her defenses. See how she reacts when the first cracks appear. I followed his advice. I began with subtle moves, correcting the family records that had been falsified, quietly reminding key advisors of my lineage, and planting small but undeniable proofs of Lin May's past deceit. Each tiny correction was a seed, and I watched carefully as Lin May began to feel the first tremors of unease. It didn't take long. Within days, I noticed her composure faltering. The extravagant confidence she always carried was replaced by tension. Her smiles were forced, her conversations laced with careful calculation. It was beautiful to witness, knowing that I had orchestrated it. One afternoon, I confronted her in the family garden. The sun was low, casting long shadows across the marble paths. Lin May's eyes widened as she saw me approaching, the air thick with unspoken confrontation. Rand, she said, voice trembling slightly. Why are you here? This is my home. My life. I stopped a few steps away, letting the wind carry the power of my presence. It was never yours, May. Every lie you've told, every scheme you've crafted, it's all unraveling. Her lips curled into a defensive smirk. You're imagining things. You've always been dramatic. I laughed softly, sharp and cold. Dramatic?
No, May.
I survived the frozen lake, didn't I? And now I've come back to take what's rightfully mine. This isn't imagination. This is truth. Her eyes flicked away for a moment. Fear, barely concealed. I could see it. The cracks were forming, and I pressed further. Han Xiao knows too. And he won't let your lies continue. Lin Mei's hand trembled slightly as she clutched her designer handbag. Han, what? That's impossible. You can't. Oh, but I can. I interrupted, my voice calm but firm. And I will. Every advisor who's complicit, every document that proves your deception, they're all coming to light. The life you built on my identity is about to collapse. She faltered, lips parted, and for the first time, I saw panic ripple across her carefully constructed mask. The years of arrogance, the false luxury, it was all starting to slip. Han Zhao's voice broke the silence. Lin Mei, your games are over. The truth always surfaces, and it never lies. She turned to him, desperate. Han Xiao, you don't understand. He stepped forward, unwavering. I understand perfectly. I didn't marry a title. I waited for the girl who saved me when we were children. And I can see her now, standing strong. You cannot hide the truth from us. I felt a surge of satisfaction.
Today was the first strike.
The battle was far from over, but Lin Mei's confidence had been shattered, her world shaken. And with Han Xiao by my side, I knew every move I made from here on out would bring her closer to the justice she so richly deserved. This is just the beginning, I whispered, watching her retreat. And I will enjoy every step of reclaiming what is mine. Lin Mei's arrogance had always been her greatest weakness. I had watched it crack beneath the pressure of my small, carefully placed moves, and I knew it was time to escalate. Subtlety had worked to shake her, but now I needed to strike decisively, to reclaim the Lin family fortune and prove once and for all who the true heiress was. Han Xiao and I sat in the private study of the Lin estate that evening, the room dimly lit by a single chandelier. Papers and files spread across the mahogany desk like a battlefield map. Every dossier I had painstakingly collected over the past few days detailed Lin Mei's lies, her manipulations, and the falsified records she had used to maintain her identity as the heiress. Are you ready for this? Han Xiao asked, his tone quiet but edged with anticipation. His dark eyes scanned the files, then met mine. Because once we move, there's no turning back. I nodded firmly. I've been ready my whole life. She stole everything from me. My identity, my family, my future. This is just the beginning of taking it all back. He smiled faintly. Good. Then let's start with the legal documents. The contracts, the forged wills, the financial statements. Once we prove they're fraudulent, the court has no choice. Lin Mei loses everything. I leaned over the desk, reviewing each file with painstaking attention. I had learned from past mistakes, precision and timing were everything. Every document I presented would be airtight. Every move I made had to anticipate her reaction. The next morning, I requested a meeting with the Lin family council. Lin Mei arrived, her expression forced and elegant, but I could see the tension beneath. She had begun to sense the storm approaching, but she didn't know its magnitude. Lin ran, she said, her voice cold, as if masking her panic with civility. What is all this? Why have you summoned everyone? I met her gaze calmly, almost mockingly. I've summoned everyone to present the truth. The DNA results, the falsified documents, the records of your deceit. It's all here, Lin Mei. Every lie you've built your life upon, exposed. Her eyes flicked nervously to the assembled council members. Murmurs filled the room. Advisors shifted in their seats, whispering, sensing the imbalance in the air. You're lying, she said sharply, trying to regain control. These documents, how do we know they're legitimate? I smiled faintly, lifting a small sealed envelope containing the original DNA proof. Because the truth cannot be faked, May. Here is the evidence. The Lin family knows the truth now, and the world will see it if necessary. Her facade began to crumble. I saw the tremor in her hands, the slight quiver of her lips. Panic, fear, and disbelief flickered across her face, the first cracks of defeat. Han Xiao stepped forward, his presence authoritative and commanding. Lin Mei, your schemes have been exposed. The Lin family fortune and name belong to the rightful heir. You will surrender control immediately. She recoiled, her voice rising. You can't do this. This is my life. No, Mei, I said firmly, my voice calm but lethal. This is my life. And I'm finally taking back what was stolen from me. The council voted unanimously, supported by the irrefutable evidence. Lin Mei's status as heiress was officially revoked. She had been stripped of the title, the fortune, and the luxurious lifestyle she had built on deception. As she stormed out, furious and humiliated, I turned to Han Xiao, a victorious smile spreading across my face. This is just the beginning, isn't it? He chuckled softly.
Yes.
But with every step, we're closer to finishing this. And don't forget, whatever comes next, you're not alone. For the first time, I felt the satisfaction of justice and the confidence that, together, we could dismantle every obstacle Lin Mei had placed in my path. Today, I had struck. Tomorrow, the final pieces of her empire would fall. Let's make sure she never rises again, I whispered, feeling the thrill of control and power coursing through me. The fall from grace is loud when you're used to living above everyone else. 3 days after the council meeting, the Lin family mansion felt different. The servants no longer followed Lin Mei's every gesture. The whispers had shifted. Her silk dresses were replaced by sharp glances. Power, I had learned, evaporates the moment it stops being recognized. I was in the library reviewing financial transfers when the door burst open. Lin Mei stood there, eyes bloodshot, hair loosely pinned instead of perfectly styled. Her breathing was uneven, her pride in tatters. Give it back, she demanded. I closed the folder calmly. Give back what was never yours. She laughed, a brittle, broken sound. You think you've won? You think DNA and documents are enough to destroy me? Han Xiao appeared beside me, his presence immediate and imposing. Leave, Lin Mei, he said quietly. You've lost. She turned to him, desperation flooding her voice. Han Xiao, you don't understand. I protected the Lin family. I kept the company alive. I did what I had to do. I rose slowly, meeting her gaze. You pushed me into poverty. You hired a man to marry me and silence me. You had me thrown into a frozen lake to die. Her pupils contracted. You don't get to call that protection. She lunged toward me, her fingers clawing at my sleeve. You were weak. No one would have believed you. You are nothing without that name. Han Xiao stepped between us instantly. Touch her again, and you'll leave here in handcuffs. Lin Mei froze. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Then I remembered the lake, the cold searing my skin, the darkness closing in as I sank beneath the ice. I won't disappear, she whispered hoarsely. You'll regret humiliating me. I leaned closer. I already survived you once. Try again, and I'll bury you legally. She stormed out. That night, the trap finally snapped shut. Han Xiao had people tracking her financial moves. At midnight, he placed his phone on the table in front of me. She transferred all remaining funds to an offshore account, he said. Then booked a flight under a false identity. My lips curved. She's running. No, he corrected gently. She's being hunted. 2 hours later, the police raided the hotel she was hiding in.
Fraud.
Identity theft. Attempted murder conspiracy. Everything surfaced at once like rot from beneath polished marble. The news exploded by morning. I stood on the balcony watching the sunrise when Han Xiao joined me. She won't escape this, he said softly. I exhaled slowly, years of tension unraveling from my chest. She already lost the moment I woke up. He studied me for a long moment before speaking again. "Do you remember when you pulled me out of the river when we were kids?" he asked. I blinked. "You remember that?" "I waited years to find that girl again," he said. "Not for a title. Not for a family name.
For you."
I turned toward him, heart pounding. "I didn't marry a title," he continued quietly. "I waited for the girl who saved me." For the first time, revenge wasn't the loudest thing inside my heart. Hope was. By the time Lin May returned from her failed escape attempt, her arrogance was completely gone. The lavish life she had flaunted was crumbling like a house of cards. And this time, I was ready to finish what I had started. Han Xiao and I prepared meticulously. Every move she might make had already been anticipated. The law was on our side, the Lin family fully aligned with me, and my proof undeniable. But beyond legality, I wanted her to see that the girl she had tried to destroy was stronger than ever. She arrived at the estate late that evening, escorted by police, still defiant, but the defiance had no bite. She had lost everything, her power, her reputation, and any claim to fear I might have once felt. I met her in the grand hall, the light of the chandeliers casting sharp reflections across the polished marble floor. Lin May's eyes darted nervously from me to Han Xiao and back, searching for a crack. There was none. "You've taken everything from me," she hissed. "How can you stand there smiling?" I stepped forward, calm, composed, my heart steady.
"No, May."
"I haven't taken anything. I've only reclaimed what's mine. You stole from me for years, and the universe finally corrected that imbalance." She shook her head violently. "This isn't fair. I did what I had to do to survive." "Survive?" I repeated, incredulous. "You call framing me, trying to drown me, living my life, surviving?" I took another step closer. "You've never survived, May. You've cheated. You've lied. You've manipulated. That isn't survival, it's theft." Han Xiao spoke then, his voice deep, unwavering. "Lin May, the evidence is undeniable. All your schemes have been documented. Every fraud, every manipulation, every lie, you're facing justice. This is your final chance to accept it." She flinched at his words, but her voice trembled with desperation. You'll regret this. You think you've won, but..." I interrupted her, my voice sharper than steel.
"No, May."
"I don't think. I know. And I survived death once. You don't frighten me anymore." The police officer stepped forward, holding the sealed files of Lin May's crimes, and she froze. Panic replaced the last vestiges of her bravado. I walked toward her, my heels echoing on the marble floor. "This is over, May. You've lost your fortune, your status, and your reputation. The Lin family knows who the true heiress is. And I've reclaimed my life. From now on, you have nothing." Tears began to spill down her cheeks, not from remorse, but from the realization that the world had finally rejected her lies. I turned to Han Xiao, who had watched silently by my side. His dark eyes softened as he took my hand. "You handled this beautifully," he said. I exhaled, the tension in my shoulders easing for the first time in years. "It wasn't beautiful," I said. "It was justice." He smiled faintly. "Justice looks beautiful when it's yours." For a moment, we just stood there together, the weight of victory settling around us. I realized something profound. I hadn't just reclaimed my name. I had reclaimed my dignity, my power, and my future. And the man standing beside me, the one who had always believed in me, even when the world had turned its back, was now more than an ally. He was my anchor, my partner, and the one I could finally trust completely. As Lin May was escorted out, defeated and silent, I whispered to myself, a victorious smile forming on my lips. This is my life now. Mine. And I will never let anyone take it from me again. Han Xiao squeezed my hand gently, a silent promise that our battles were over, but our future, together, had only just begun. After the final confrontation with Lin May, a quiet calm settled over the Lin estate. The storm of betrayal and deceit had passed, leaving only clarity, justice, and the heavy but satisfying weight of truth. For the first time in years, I felt I could breathe without fear, without hesitation. Han Xiao and I spent the following days meeting with the Lin Family Council to reorganize the company, correct the financial records, and ensure that every fraudulent contract Lin Mei had touched was nullified. It was meticulous, exhausting work, but it was ours. My rightful claim and Han Zhao's unwavering support made every step purposeful. One morning, I walked through the family estate's gardens, the air crisp and fragrant with early spring blooms. Han Xiao followed, his presence steady and reassuring. I paused at the fountain, watching the sunlight shimmer on the water. It feels strange, I admitted, my voice soft. To finally walk here knowing everything is mine, that she can't touch me anymore. He stood beside me, his dark eyes fixed on mine. Strange can be good. You've earned this, Lin Ran. You've survived betrayal, danger, even death itself. You deserve peace. I smiled faintly, though my chest still held a trace of lingering tension.
Peace, yes.
But I also feel something else. A sort of hope. A hope that I can finally live for myself, not just fight to survive. Han Xiao reached for my hand, the touch grounding me. You're not alone anymore. Whatever you want to build, whatever life you want to create, I'll be here. I met his gaze, feeling a warmth I hadn't dared allow myself to feel in years. Could I trust it? Could I trust him? But looking into his steady eyes, I realized I could. He had seen me at my weakest, yet never faltered. He had believed in me when the world had tried to bury me. Over the next weeks, our partnership evolved naturally. I led the company, reorganizing departments, initiating projects I had only dreamed of in my past life, and reviving the Lin family's reputation. Han Xiao handled the legal and financial oversight, subtly guiding without overshadowing. We were a team, perfectly in sync, our combined strength undeniable. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with pink and gold, Han Xiao and I stood on the estate's balcony, overlooking the city that had once seemed so vast and unreachable to me. Do you remember when we were kids? He asked suddenly, a rare softness in his tone. When we played by the river, before everything changed? I laughed softly, a sound of nostalgia and relief. I remember. You were always so serious, even then, and I was reckless. He smiled faintly. Yet somehow, we survived everything. And now, we've found our way back to each other. My heart swelled. The pain, the betrayal, the frozen lake, it all felt like a distant nightmare, one that had forged me into someone stronger. Yet here, in this moment, I realized something else. I was not alone. Han Xiao had been my anchor, my confidant, and perhaps my home. He took my hands in his voice quiet but resolute. Lin Ran, you are brilliant, strong, and unstoppable. And I want to be by your side, not for the title, not for the family name, but for you. Only you. Tears prickled my eyes, and I shook my head with a laugh. I thought I'd never trust anyone again. I thought I was destined to fight alone. He pressed a gentle kiss to my hand. Not anymore. You don't have to. In that moment, I felt the full weight of everything I had endured. The betrayal, the survival, the fight for justice, and I realized that I could finally allow myself to embrace something new.
Love. Partnership.
A future I had never dared imagine in my darkest moments. As the sun sank behind the skyline, I leaned into Han Xiao, knowing with absolute certainty that together, we could face anything. The Lin family fortune was secure, Lin Mei was powerless, and I had finally reclaimed not only my identity, but my heart. The morning air felt crisp and clean as I stepped into the Lin family estate for the first time without the shadow of fear trailing me. The halls, once corridors of silent judgment and whispered schemes, now echoed with a sense of order and rightful ownership. Every detail, every portrait, every piece of furniture reminded me that I had finally reclaimed my life. Lin Mei's defeat had sent ripples through the Lin family and the business world. The media had reported the scandal with relish, exposing her lies and manipulations, but it hardly mattered. I had survived her treachery, reclaimed my identity, and now moved forward with strength, dignity, and purpose. Han Xiao met me at the grand entrance, his dark eyes warm and attentive. He offered his hand, a simple gesture that carried years of unspoken trust and unbreakable loyalty. I took it without hesitation. "Are you ready for the ceremony?" he asked softly. I smiled. "As ready as I'll ever be. This isn't just a formality, it's a declaration. Today, I officially take my place as the Lin family's true heiress." The council members, advisors, and family gathered in the main hall. Their eyes were filled with respect and acknowledgement, a silent recognition of my journey and triumph. For the first time, I felt the power of my name, my identity, and my voice fully recognized. The ceremony was simple but meaningful. The legal documents were signed, my position confirmed, and Lin Mei's name removed permanently from any claim to the Lin fortune. I watched her presence diminish in the background, a figure once powerful now rendered insignificant. The satisfaction of justice completed its sweet work in me, but it was tempered by calm, not vengeance. Han Xiao stood beside me as I signed the final papers. His hand brushed mine, and I felt a surge of warmth and protection. "You did it," he whispered, a rare smile playing on his lips. "I did," I said, looking up at him. "But I couldn't have done it without you. You believed in me when the world doubted me. You've always been my shield." He bowed his head slightly, his gaze softening. "And you've always been remarkable," Lin ran. "I've waited a lifetime for this moment. The moment where you finally claimed your rightful place, and we could stand together." As we walked through the estate, I felt a deep sense of completion. Every obstacle, every betrayal, every near-death experience had led to this moment. I had survived betrayal, poverty, and danger, and emerged stronger, smarter, and more resilient than ever before. Later, in the quiet of the estate gardens, Han Xiao turned to me with a look of solemn devotion. "Lin Ran, now that you've claimed everything that's yours, I want to claim something as well. I want you, not for your title, not for your wealth, but for the woman you are, brilliant, brave, and unstoppable. Will you let me be by your side, always?" Tears welled in my eyes, a mixture of relief, love, and the joy of finally feeling safe and cherished. I nodded, unable to find words at first. "Yes," I whispered. "Yes, Han Xiao. I want that too." He smiled, a rare and genuine warmth, and pulled me into his arms. For the first time in years, I felt the full embrace of security, love, and partnership. All the hardships, the betrayals, the near-death moments, the fights for justice, had led to this. As we stood together, the world around us calm and radiant, I realized that I had more than reclaimed my name. I had reclaimed my life, my happiness, and my heart. The Lin family fortune was secure. Lin Mei had been defeated, and I had found love and trust in the most unexpected, perfect way. Finally, I whispered to myself, smiling, "This is my life, my love, my triumph, and it's only just beginning."